I didn't realize it wasn't my mother until she reached for the kitchen knife and her elbow bent the wrong way. Most of you know the Uncanny Valley as a graph, a dip in empathy when a robot looks almost human, but not quite. It's a modern term, but in the deep, ancient gaps of the Appalachian woods, we don't call it a graph. We call it the mimic. I grew up in a house where the woods didn't just have eyes. They had faces. My grandmother used to sit on the porch, smoking a hand-rolled cigarette, watching the tree line. She told me, if you see someone you know out there and they don't blink, you run until your lungs burn. I thought it was just a way to keep kids from getting lost. I was 22 when I realized it was a survival manual. It started on a Tuesday. I was home alone. My mom was at work. I'd seen her drive away at 8 a.m., but at 10 a.m. I heard the front door click. Then her distinctive hum, the way she hums Somewhere Over the Rainbow when she's stressed. I called out, "Mom, forget something?" The humming stopped. Silence. Then a voice from the kitchen, her voice, perfectly pitch-matched, said, "I just need to be here." The pacing was off. There was a microsecond delay between every word, like she was reading a script in a language she didn't understand. That biological wrongness hit me like a physical blow. My skin didn't just crawl. It tried to leave my body. I walked into the kitchen. She was at the sink, back to me, same floral apron, same messy bun. But she was vibrating, a high-frequency shudder that made the plates on the counter rattle. "Mom?" I asked. My hand was on the doorframe, knuckles white. She started to turn. And this is where the valley becomes a canyon. Her neck moved first. It rotated nearly 180 degrees before her shoulders even shifted. Her skin looked like wet construction paper too, smooth, no pores, no fine lines. And the eyes, they were just two holes filled with stagnant, oily water. Your brain is your own worst enemy here. It tries to rationalize. She's just sick. It's the lighting. I stood there for 3 minutes, letting my brain lie to me while that thing stared. Then it smiled, but it didn't use face muscles. The mouth just opened. It revealed rows of teeth that were all the same size. No molars, no canines, just a fence of white bone. It said my name, but it sounded like a recording of me saying my own name, played back through a broken speaker. "Help me. I am cold." I didn't scream. You don't scream when you're that close to death. You just stop existing for a second. I backed away and it began to walk. It didn't have a gait. It was hitching. Left leg, slide. Right leg, snap. I managed to lock myself in the basement. I thought I was safe, but as I sat there in the dark, I noticed something in the corner, my mother's actual work bag. The one she took at 8 a.m. I opened it. Inside were her keys, her wallet, and a single handwritten note from my grandmother that said, "It's starting to sound like me. Don't let it in the kitchen." I realized then that this wasn't the first time. My grandmother hadn't just been watching the woods. She'd been living with one. I heard a thud above me. The mom thing was standing directly over the basement door. "Sweetie," the voice said from behind the wood, "I found your baby teeth." I scrambled for my phone and dialed my mom's work number. It rang once, twice. Directly above me, the thing stopped moving. I heard a muffled ringing. It wasn't coming from the floorboards. It was coming from inside the thing's chest. I watched through the cracks in the ceiling as it pulled a phone out of its apron pocket. It was my mom's phone, the one I saw her put in her purse this morning. That's when the terror truly shifted. If it had the phone, where was she? I heard a wet, tearing sound. The thing began to peel the floral apron off, but the apron wasn't fabric. It was coming off in chunks of skin. I broke the basement window and ran. I didn't look back until I hit the neighbor's porch. The police arrived, but the house was empty. No, Mom, no mimic, just a trail of oily water leading from the kitchen to the basement. My mom pulled up 10 minutes later. She looked perfect. She was confused, laughing at the overreaction. She said she'd lost her phone at a gas station. I moved out the next day. I didn't tell her why. How do you tell your mother you saw her neck snap 180 degrees? I spent 3 years in therapy. I convinced myself it was a fugue state, a mental breakdown caused by the isolation of the mountains. I moved to the city. More people, more real faces. But 3 days ago, I found an old Polaroid in a box of my grandmother's things. It was taken in 1974. It was my grandmother and my mother as a toddler. In the background, standing by the tree line, was another woman. She was wearing the exact same dress as my grandmother. Same hair, same height. But she was standing in a way no human stands. Her knees were locked forward, but her torso was twisted completely toward the woods. My grandmother wasn't watching the trees to protect me. She was watching to see which mom came home. Last night, I was on a FaceTime call with my mom. She was telling me about the garden. We were laughing. Then she leaned closer to the camera. The light hit her eyes, and for a split second, they didn't reflect the room. They stayed dark, flat, like stagnant water. She said, "I miss you, honey. I just, need to be there." The same microsecond delay. I looked at the reflection in her glasses. Behind her, there was no kitchen, no garden, just a dark, endless forest of Appalachian pine. My mom didn't come home the Tuesday 3 years ago, and the thing I've been talking to, it's finally learned how to blink. Before you go to sleep tonight, look at the person next to you. Don't look at their face. Look at their cuticles. Look at the way their skin moves over their knuckles. If it's too smooth, if it's too perfect, don't scream. It likes the sound of a scream. It sounds like music to them. Good night, and whatever you do, don't look in the valley.